Hello, everybody. Welcome to the State of the Market for May 2025. Uh, Al,
William,
how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Anything new in the card world for you?
Not a tremendous amount. I am getting a shipment of what I think is 30 cards back from PSA, some of which were crossed, some new slab, all with my pedigree on them. So that
Nice.
should be fun. That'll be actually it may even be here tomorrow or maybe next week. I don't know, but I'm traveling next week, so I would expect that there. It's a fun group of cards, so it'll be fun to see what happened, and you know,
Are you going to
basically,
do a video on them?
yeah, that's the plan. I just haven't. I just don't know when they're going to arrive. I could probably
Sure.
check, but yeah. So that's probably the most exciting thing from an acquisition perspective. Not a tremendous amount, man. It's been super slow. I got outbid on a couple cards that I have wanted in the last PWCCs. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, I actually was more active in bidding last week for some things, but I kind of got shut out of any of the, bigger things I was going after. But like second high on a few of them, and some of them went way further than I expected. Which is good and bad. It means I don't get it, but it means there's multiple people interested in it beyond me. So that's pretty cool. So,
Yep.
All right. I don't know if we want to like tackle anything about just as a general overview of the state of the market. Like we had in our premium channel, we had a conversation about how it feels like there's some like really great deals for the more available cards and things like that. There's prices that I haven't seen in a long time on certain things. The rare stuff still holding strong, still doing really well. But let's just throwing out like examples like Bergman's of Beckenbauer and Mula and cards of that ilk seem to not be holding strong at least recently. So feels like there's a little bit of weakness, but could be just because of the season, the time of year. Could be people just aren't looking at the moment, or there is truly some level of weakness there. So I don't know if you wanted to share your thoughts a little bit about that before we get going.
Yeah, I think it's hard to it's hard to ever know when you talk about the market, right? But I mean, definitely some of the data points have been concerning, right? I think you would if you were an investor, short-term investor, you'd be like, whoa, what the fuck's going on? Especially of what I'll call collector grade items.
Right.
But I honestly believe, I mean, we'd need to see a lot more data before I reach that conclusion. I
Sure.
think that between the kind of the rolling down of the seasons, between the holidays here in the US, between just the global macro situation, I think we may have seen just a few bumps in the
Yeah.
road, right? So I'm not willing to say the house is on fire. In fact, on
Sure.
rarer things and or higher grade things, I think the market's very strong.
Yeah, I agree
So,
with that.
I just, I think just looking at a few cards and a few auctions at really low prices, it's kind of like if you looked at whatever it was, auction 170 on PWCC, where a lot of the lower value cards went for lower than they normally do. It wasn't necessarily because the market was soft. It's just because a lot of the people in the market were looking at something else at that time, which was the higher performing cards in that 170. So we got some lower results. Fast forward the next few auctions, they've been kind of what I expected. in the next few auctions after that. So, again, I'm not saying it definitively. I don't think anybody knows. Personally, I'd be looking at it as a great time to enter. I mean, a lot of the stuff is super, like, at least if this trend continues through the couple months of summer, I mean, we're a year away from the World Cup. Why not pick up some of the best players ever at reasonable prices?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the way we're going to flip it. You know what I mean? Because we are more like collectors with maybe investment as like a secondary benefit to it. But like, I feel oftentimes you and I are always looking long term. So we're traditionally always going to feel reasonably decent about the market, right? Because we're just betting on long-term growth, which then we can flip these lower prices into buying opportunities. So like, I think people's claims of us kind of, talking sunshine and rainbows, like I feel like that's just how we're going to be with this market, regardless of what it is, right? Because you can see the positive one way or the other, I guess, but because there's opportunity. Valencia fan says, I still feel the low end stuff at $30 to $50 is up significantly over 12 months. So, it could just be where we were looking, and it just happened to be what we were talking about at that particular moment, like a snapshot in time. So, all right, let's hop into, let's see, where are we going to go? The Golden Elite auction, which just ended.
The big one. Start with the big boy.
Yeah. This is definitely the big boy. So, so here we are. We have the 57-58 Pele, the OMB Balas. So for 100,000, which that's a good price, right? We're seeing a 6-figure card sell. It's been a minute, I feel, for at least vintage to see something go for that. So, unless my brain shut off and something happened.
I mean, yeah, we had 71 Bisses, we had some modern cards, but a vintage card selling for $100,000 is a big marker, right? Of course, this is a big sticker, right?
Yeah.
Super hard redemption sticker. One of his first stickers out there, hard not to like the sticker. So, $100,000, I think a lot of times, I think I said on the last time we were talking that I thought if it went for less than 100, it would be a deal. This is probably a fair price based on the market and the condition of this. It's got the overlay stamp, which I'm sure some people like. I'm sure some people don't like. I think there's a couple different camps on that. It's got a little chip at the top. It's in an SGC holder, so to get it in a PSA holder is going to cost you another $5,000 or something if you want to cross it. So I think it's great. I mean, I think it's I think Dave may have said seemed to him to be a fair price for both seller and buyer, and that's kind of where I settle in on this one.
Yeah, and I think when we were talking on the premium about this, didn't we just figure out that there's basically 12 stickers from pre-1958 World Cup? So yeah. And this is one of them. So if you want one, whether it's, some people say it's 1958, well, regardless, we, mostly agree that this is printed before the World Cup. So it's still pre that. So I think that alone is going to carry weight long-term as people look less at the year and kind of see when things are issued. Because not all 1958s obviously would be created equal. So
yeah. And this still is graded by PSA and by SGC as 57.
Okay.
And, I think there is there's certainly narratives. I mean, none of the Brazilian albums have dates on them, right? So you kind of have to look at the team comp. And so this could very easily be end of 57, could very easily be end of 58. It's most certainly before the World Cup. So, I think that that all in all, a super rare pay. I mean, even the Jose Inocente, which is a 58, and that's pretty. That one actually does have the date on the thing. I believe just sold for like 65. So a rare Pele, and there's more of those than there are of this one. So just order of magnitude here. This is just an elite sticker. It went for a big price, right? That's an expensive car or an inexpensive house. So it's a big number, but it's also warranted, I think, for the type of sticker that it is.
Yep, I agree. Let's see what else we have here. 58 PSA 7 miscut goes for 30. So if we say that's a PSA 5, how does that feel? Like, is that?
It kind of feels a little light to me, but I think the last ones were like in the high 20s. So it's probably fair in this market. And some people take off 1 grade, some people take off 3 grades. I generally take off 2. When I didn't look at this one that closely, but what the 4 went for, which is right below it, right? The that one went for like 24. What would you rather have? I probably take the 7 MC over that, but then again, it's $6,000 more. It feels okay. What did you think of those two?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think personally, like, just the miscut bothers me. Like I think the 4 looks. I know the corners aren't nearly as good, but like I feel like just looking at that, I feel happier. Like, so I could see myself, with a limited budget, preferring the 4, and then spending that 6,000 on something different. If I had, a much larger budget, yeah, I'd probably go the 7 miscut.
I get it. Because if you do take off, like I was saying earlier, if you take off 3 grades, some people do, then you've got 30 versus 24. Take the 4, right? I've never been one of those people that takes off 1 grade. Like for me, it's at least 2, but I know some people are like, it doesn't matter that much.
And I think it depends on the issue, right? Like if we know there's only 5 cards out there, what does it matter if it's a miscut or not, right? Like, so that's kind of another game that needs to be played when you're kind of taking that stuff into account.
Yep. I got a lot of MC stuff that doesn't bother me at all, like Argentine discs.
Yeah, totally.
On MCs, and it's like, okay, whatever.
You wonder what's wrong with it if it's centered.
Yeah, if it's centered, yeah, so rare.
All right. Stop. Okay. A
bunch of modern stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
a lot of stuff bringing big numbers.
Let's see what's going on. It's nice to see a second page over 1,000. The full first page was over $2,000.
But they're nearly all, shiny stuff.
Yeah.
Again, nothing wrong with that. It's just, I kind of wish that there was just a heavier vintage tilt to this.
Oh, signed Di Stefano for $730.
Oh yeah, where did that one? It went for $730.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. It being a card, because a lot of times, it seems like it's different things that are signed by him. So
yeah, like photos or prints or stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, here's a Copa sign, 336. So that's pretty cool. Like some older cards with some autographs on it.
Yeah, totally cool. Is that a Fontaine?
Yeah, Fontaine for 336. I'd be happy as the buyer for those.
Yeah, I would too. I didn't even notice those out there, but that's those are fun cards to add to the collection for sure.
Yeah, I think those 3 I mean, probably the buyers or the sellers happy too, depending on, they might have bought them off of eBay or something and, got them for much cheaper. But Yeah, so that's the elite auction. I went through the weeklies. There was, really nothing in the years that you and I typically discuss. So we're kind of just gonna skip the weeklies for golden, and we'll go to Fanatics. Um, let me see if I find the correct. Oh yeah, here we are. So it's basically the top 4 and then the 2 below it on the left. So we have the Topps Dynasty Pele, Musiala, and then we have the
Oh yeah, your Kaboom Gold Messi. Congrats on
yeah.
picking
Thank
that up.
you, thank you.
That
Yes,
was good. Yeah. So now you have 3 of them, right?
yes, yes. Can you imagine? So, Seb, what's up, party people?
There you go. The Seb is in the house, man. Man, I think some of these like super fractors. Wow, man, $100,000 for the Messi, which is cool. I don't want to say that it's not cool. I think it's cool and it's got an autograph, but it's a sticker, I think. And
I think so.
I just think like, okay, like he has to have one of those every year, at least one, right? Maybe not Topps Chrome. So Topps Chrome is a big deal, but he's got to have at least one of those a year, right?
I would think so.
Right. And you're talking like so late in the career. I love the fact it's still Barca, right? I like it, but $100,000, like I so much would prefer the Pele.
Yeah.
But I just this is where it's just like, we better watch it, right? Because we'll get some hate on this, but like
Whatever.
This is so hard for me to understand some of this stuff.
Well, and what's interesting is that and I don't want to go this way, but here we are. There's these guys are like 40 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like they have probably 40 more years of signing autographs. So it's like that's the part that's like it's tough for my brain to get behind that relative to other things. Like by all means, I understand like if you're looking at this is what you do, this is what you collect. I mean, I've spent a lot of money on things that I collected that some did well, some did horribly. And I don't think this will do horribly moving forward. You know what I mean? I just think relative to other things, I would prefer my money to go elsewhere. But I also understand, because these things become vintage at some point, right? And if they're and maybe my ignorance of these particular issues and how like collected or collectible and they are in the hobby, and so these will be those premium things that are selling in 25 years. I don't know. So like maybe
Yeah.
I just
Look, I think that there is some element of that, right? For sure, but because this is elite, right?
totally.
These are elite cards. These are elite sets. At least we know that they're one of ones. They're cool, right? So I think it does check a tremendous amount of boxes. It's just, I mean, you're banking on people 5 years down. Like, I don't think that a Pele pre-World Cup sticker, one of, let's say we fast forward 30, is going to lose interest. I wonder if, a 17-year Messi, yes, cool Topps Chrome, 15 years down the road is going to garden that much interest, right? Free drinks, nice. All right, Brad. So I don't know. It's just it's a tremendous amount of money. Could it be $200,000-$300,000 in a few years? Sure, but that has to be because people then said that Topps Chrome is the absolute most important soccer issue of all time, and this is one of the few Messi in a Barca kit, and that's got to be the narrative. I mean, that's a big bet to me.
Yeah. Reframing it, which one do you want at the price?
I for me, it's hard because I'm like, man, doesn't that Ronaldo feel like a bargain there?
Yeah.
But
I mean, relative, right? Like,
yeah, relative. But I think the Barca jersey, like if the CR7 was in a Real Madrid, I think I would say the Ronaldo. I'm not sure on this. Plus, it's a 9 versus a 10. I know it's a 1 of 1, but I think that also plays a role. So between uniform and the 10 versus 9, I'd still probably buy the Messi, but if it was Real Madrid and a 9, I'd probably go the CR7. You?
yeah, I have a hard time. Like, if I'm looking at it as an investment, I'm probably going Ronaldo, just because I feel like
Less
Messi is.
downside.
What's that?
Less downside, right?
Yeah, and I feel like when we look back at these two players, there's going to be an argument on both sides for who was the best player. I mean, I feel like, the majority will be on the Messi side, but I think that there's going to be a lot of Ronaldo. And I think that it's going to maybe get a little closer, like the ratio between the two, maybe not equal, but like, I do understand what you're saying about the uniform. I do understand what you're saying. I mean, the 9 to a 10, but like, it is a 1 of 1. So whether it's a 9 or a 10, at the end of the day, I mean, what is that? Maybe a 10% bump? I don't know. But like, I don't think it ends up being that material relative to everything else. So I think investment wise, I mean, as a fan, like I like Messi more. So like, I mean, I would prefer that, but yeah, I think Ronaldo is where I would put my chip on. If I was guessing in 20 years, which one does better when compared to each other. Al, what happens if somebody walks up to you when they printed this out, like a screenshot of this, and they hand it to you?
On Al. I mean, you know what the problem really with this is that we have to smuggle our beverages into.
Well, then they will be free drinks because we're just going to bring them in.
Yeah, we're just going to bring them in, and I think that the organizers will cut us some slack. So, but it's not like one of these situations because it needs to be brought in. It's not like an all you can,
Correct.
drink festival. So, we'll try to take care of you to the best of our business, and it is free. It's just not unlimited, and the size of the serving may not be to your desired.
Yeah, like here's a sip.
Yeah, we'll bring these little tiny cups. Afterwards, if we have hit places afterwards, we can certainly imbibe a bit more depending on where people are.
Yep, there we are. All right. Now we're going to go to some of the weekly auctions. I'll scroll reasonably quickly unless there's something that, catches your eye that you want to talk about. So this is the one from 3 Sundays ago. There wasn't a lot of them that went over 1,000, 4 cards. And kind of some of the, they're not super uncommon.
Yeah.
So maybe we move on.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. Again, these have been generally a little weaker. I saw the booklet went for. I didn't win that either, but that went for what, 1,200 or something.
Yep, 1,230 for that, which is a cool. It's nice. It's in pretty good shape, for what it is. But and then you got this one, correct?
Yeah, I got the panel. You just don't see many panels. Just wanted it for the collection. Love those. It got a Zoff next to Pele there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, not many of those were slabs. So happy to pick one up.
Yeah, that's cool one for the collections for sure. Yeah, and 4 items this time over 1,000 also. So it really does feel like you know, people are waiting to send those big hitters in for the, you know, the 180. It
Yeah,
feels
which
like that
now
a
I'm
little bit.
wondering, should you throw some in these auctions, right?
Well, funny you asked that, because here's what ended this week.
Exactly.
And oh, look at that. A rare card that sells for what I would consider
A high price.
I would be happy as a seller.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great card. It's you know, I'd be happy as a buyer actually, you know, either way, because like you're either getting a super rare card or you're getting, you know, relative to like what these were going for 3 years ago, you know, this is a huge multiplier. Um, but
Yeah. I mean, this is one of, for me, certainly a top 5 bloomer card. Um, hello, Collector's Dream. So I think it's a top 5 bloomer card.
I think so.
You know, so to see, I guess I'm not including the shields in that. I'm just talking cards.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a big deal. He's a big deal. That's a big grade. I know there was some discussion of whether they like the cut. Various people. It's a big grade. A 4 in that issue. So, you know, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be buying at this price, but I already have this card, right? So I understand why people would want to be all over it when it became available. And it is one of those epic, you know, first century 1900s soccer cards, I think.
Yeah. I guess I won't be crossing mine over now. From
That'll
SGC.
be expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think mine's a 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. So
Ooh,
yeah, I think.
nice. I think I may have posted mine in the Discord. Yeah, I think mine is either a 3 or a 4.
I'll have to pull that up afterwards and
Yeah, it's not like super high grade, but most of those are going to be like 2s and 3s. I feel like with some A's because the border's being retouched.
yeah, I think that sounds right. All right, what else do we have here? A Zidane 6 for $3,000. Do you have any?
Yeah, that's up a bit. I mean, at the low point, I want to say like a year and a half ago, they were as low as like 1600, I think.
Okay.
So that's up a bit. It's a tough sticker, you know, and a 6 is, you know, a good grade. It's not obviously, you know, the highest, but I'm going to guess that's upper quartile. So, I mean, obviously, incredibly important player, great sticker, only rookie, checking lots of boxes here, and nearly $3,000 feels certainly above where things have been in the recent history, but there's definitely some strength in the market in this sticker.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my bloomer. I don't think it's as high as I think. I think I might be thinking of a different bloomer I have. PSA 9 off center Panini sticker for Ronaldo. I don't know what that's going for.
Yeah, it's been kind of in this range. I want to say like 1,700 to 2,000 in the OC.
Okay.
The 9 itself will be closer to 5,000, I think. Hey, Albie. So it'll be, you know, I feel that's right. It's right about where they've been. I love this sticker. I think it's completely underrated here in the market. And a 9 OC, call it a 7, still a great grade for a tough grade sticker and a relatively low pop. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the pop here while we're
like
talking.
I don't really like you know, I'm not paying too much attention to these, but that just feels like such a like a decent price for like how many less there are of that, you know, and there's only a couple issues that are rookies. You know, it just feels like I understand all the issues, like, you know, the last few years, but like if it's in PSA, I feel pretty good about it. And I just feel like at that price, I mean, I feel like that's something I don't have one in my collection, but I feel like at the where we're at, that kind of feels like you know, a spot where I feel like maybe I need to add one.
Yeah, so there is MPSA 238.
Say that again. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
What's that?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so at PSA there's 238
Okay.
graded. Now, interestingly, BGS, which did grade a lot of fakes, that's 239. Interestingly, so there's only 23 10s, 23 9s, 46 8s, and 43 7s. So
About 140.
yeah, so a 7 is, for PSA, upper quartile. I mean, upper half.
Yeah, probably in
And
the
a PSA
50th
9's got to
percentile.
be in that group. And let's see, where did the last 7s? Again, if we're going to go with that 2 grade, kind of knockoff because of the OC, which, by the way, that OC didn't bother me that much.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
top to bottom's a little more palatable to me.
yeah, so the last 7 went, well, that's nearly a year ago. That's interesting too. Not a ton of these trading. The last 7 went for 19
Okay.
a few, like 6 months ago. So this 19 for a 9 OC feels good to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels reasonable. Just had a 1902 Ogden's Bloomer rejected at PSA this week. I wonder what the rejection was for.
Yeah.
Forever.
Those were tough because of those black borders will get you, and sometimes you don't see it, but they see it very clearly.
Oh yeah, probably the marker, huh?
Yeah, there's just a lot of those out there, and it's sometimes they're well done, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I have cards here that I put the PSA rejection thing in the sleeve with it. Now it's you buy them online, you just don't know what you're gonna get, and you can. And to be honest, I am way more lax at looking at scans. I'm not now, but I was very, very lax back in the day. I just bought it and like, we'll see what shows up.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Back then, and just the whole difference of condition. Like this is in great condition, and you're like, okay, that's a 1, right? This is in mint condition. Oh, that's a 2.
Right. So here's a Taddy bloomer for 1,000, basically.
I
Like
think that's a good deal. Like
yeah.
I looked at that and I'm like, man, I would have put a bid on that. That's an epic card.
Yeah. Yeah. I was second high on that. And I was just like, well, $1,000.
It's a great card. I to me, I feel like that one went low.
Yeah. I mean, relative to the Three Nuns, like I feel like this is definitely the better deal of the two. But again, if you're chasing something that's really, really tough to get, like it might be slightly easier to get this one versus the Three Nuns, but not much.
Yeah. And then I thought that Bremer was a good deal too, a PSA 7, and I love that
high grade. It's like, remember those? Like there was in our Discord, like everybody was in love with that thing, and
I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and just to like those things were making like crazy run back in the day. So like that just feels like a relative bargain. But versus spending back then, because I think there was that team card went for like $3,000 or more at some point.
I think so. I think you're right.
Here's the Zizinho with the stamp, just like the Pele for $750.
Yeah, that one I was bidding on that strong, at least what I thought was strong, but I guess not strong enough. I mean, it's kind of towards the end of his career, and this was a redemption sticker that I didn't have. It's a hard one, but 750 surprised me a bit. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, and we kind of were talking about it in the chat where it was at $19 going into extra time, and then all of a sudden, just like everybody's like, okay, now it's time to start bidding, and I should be able to get it because it's at $19. I'm going to get it for $200, and nope.
Even well into extended, I think I had like a 250 bid on it, and I'm like, shit, is there a chance I picked this thing up for like $70 or something? Right? And going into like extra, I was like, what? Right? That could just be one of the great ones that fall through, and alas, I was not. It seemed like multiple people were there at the end.
Yeah. And then I think Seb said he got this,
the Charlton, super rare. Like I've maybe seen this one other time, and I've missed it both times now. So congrats to Seb. It's a tough one. Not exactly sure why. It seems so much tougher than the other ones, but it certainly, I would agree that say this is a really tough one. And a 4 is a good grade.
Yeah. That's the other part of that. No, I didn't even notice this. There was
I thought that didn't go for an unreasonable number. I looked at it. It's not a great cut. It's certainly miscut. I tried to look at the back because a lot of these have been faked over the time. They've been paper.
Yeah. Hard to say.
It was hard. It was hard to tell. I'd feel better if it was in a PSA holder. I had sent them some fakes, so they have some of those fakes on file there.
Yeah.
But in general, I love the album. It is 86. The only problem why PSE doesn't do it is because it's unlicensed or doesn't have the editor. So there's that. And then it's kind of like the same with this Rivellino here. That also doesn't have an editor, but it is from a legit album from 67. So
you just got, if you want those graded, you're going to end up having to get them graded from
CGC.
Yep.
And then crazy, there's been so few of the Forza-Gol Maradonas and a crappy like 1.5, and this one was rough. Still goes for 444. So, I mean, the market loves Forza-Gol, especially the Maradona, but a lot of the other stars have just been doing great over the last 18 months.
I wasn't sure. Like, I put a marker bid in that because I'm really curious as to what this is going to sell for, because like it could go for $200. Like, I mean, I didn't think it would, but like just based on condition and that sort of thing, or it could have gone for like $850 and it wouldn't have like surprised me, So just because like people do love the Forza-Gols.
Yeah. And it seems also to be a rarer pop. Actually, we were just talking today in the Discord about the pops on the Maldini. There's only 8 Maldinis. There's 18 Baggios.
Oh.
So, and I think there's only like 4 or 5 Maradonas. I could be wrong on that.
I think that's also just maybe people don't submit those, you know what I mean? Because people were looking for the Maldinis and the Baggios specifically, at least to start. But I think we'll see that balance out a bit more with the Maradona, at least.
I think we'll see. I mean, pops only go up. Oh, I was wrong. There's also 8 Maradonas. Okay. So it was 8 Maradonis, 8 Maldinis, and 18 Baggios.
But I could see like the Maradona get up to the Baggio, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right. So we're gonna pop over to the fixed price sales for the month. I just feel like this is something that's worth scrolling through just to see, because we kind of neglect this a bit, but it's kind of interesting to see like what sells like kind of behind the scenes where we're not really paying attention. So
and usually the more activity on this, the better the market position.
Yeah,
unless people are just dumping.
Like here's a PSA 6 Beckenbauer for 530. Like that feels
light.
Yeah, I would be happy as the buyer.
Now there was one of the, we didn't stop on it when we went through, but there was a PSA 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a 4
that had like paper loss on the back, so you needed to look at it, and unfortunately it wasn't a good one. This one I don't know. Did you happen to look at this?
I did not. Let's see. Looks pretty good. I mean, it's got some of that foxing, but
yeah,
they all do.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. There's a 9 Messi BGS for 1,200.
Yeah. Plus Ultra.
Plus Ultras.
$400. $400. So that's fun.
Interesting.
So Maradona's going, huh?
Yeah, quite a few. Some of those really ugly 79 Pele's.
Like, yeah, it's interesting that those are
that those are flying off. I would never have thought people are going on there saying, "Yeah, let me get a 79 cartoon Pele."
I mean, I would feel good about buying like this at this price. You know what I mean? Like, I think.
What was the price?
I'm sorry, 660. Like
a PSA 2, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting two studs, and it's still 58 regardless. I mean, I'm probably not buying it, but like I wouldn't feel bad at that price, I guess. Yeah, some Messi's going.
Lots of Maradona action.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Some Messi's and Maradona, it's like
Yashin, Ronaldo.
Whoa, what one?
Oh,
PSA 10 one for 80 grand, huh?
Looks like it.
And this was just in June?
June 4th, so yesterday.
Wow. Somebody going big.
That's fun.
That's very fun.
So yeah, I guess we're popping into June for a second, but yeah. So I mean, definitely interesting. That was like a big hitter.
Yeah, and like you say, we wouldn't normally see that.
Yep.
So
all right. So that's that for Fanatics. So I'm just gonna pop over to some eBay auctions that I had saved. Obviously, this isn't all encompassing, but it's kind of what I happen to come across. So still some more of these Tingles, the US PSA 2s, 1,500, 900, 1,400.
Oh shit! Hang on, but that's a oh my god, that's a Jatens, because he's Perini on the card, and PSA mislabels these.
Yep. So 1,500 for a 2.
I feel like that's a good deal to me.
That was, when was this? I didn't see the date.
And it's just Anders auctions.
Yep. So, ML Collectibles. This was May 4th.
Yeah, that's good. Congrats to whoever picked that up. That's fun.
Best PSA 5 for 1,900.
Man, I'm feeling like those are low, right? You gotta, if you don't have one of those, I mean, it's just such an epic, important card to the hobby.
Yeah.
I would, if your budget allows, put that on the list.
Disregard the hockey.
Got a few hockey things. Okay, you got, is that a Crime Pele for
Crime Pele 8,800? I don't know if it's sold. It says seller relisted the item, so I'm not sure. what that means. Like if it was this just ended without a bid, or
Okay.
I may not have deleted that. Yeah, this is just something that caught my eye. A PSA 6 Charlton for $300.
It also feels so low.
Yeah. I mean, the centering's kind of wonk, but Varela SGC 4.5 for $400.
I mean, that's a super high grade.
Yeah.
Important player too. Not a.
I feel like I would rather be the buyer on that.
Yeah. I mean, super. I don't think I've ever. There may be a few 5s, but those are super hard to get.
Yeah, I had one I thought was incredible, and I got a 2. So like, it's tough to get those high grades. Here's a Miata for 400. This was one I thought was look at this crack. Pele for under $100.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was one of the ones, like right when we had the question about lower dollar card, or some cards selling for. I was like, "Yep, I just saw this end." A Deeks, Erico for $230.
It's poorly cut, but
yeah, that's definitely like more miscut.
Yeah, not that frequently seen.
Right. A Miata for under $100. Like that was another data point in my head when that conversation was going on. PSA 3 crack.
Whoa, for a 3.
Yeah, for 670. I mean, there's definitely a miscut going on in there, but
yeah, that's probably it. I mean, there's some people bought the card instead of the
grade, yeah,
holder on that one.
Yeah, so that's about it. Just some things that caught my eye. Then we'll go to Heritage. I don't know if there was like a lot, but
there was a few Pele items from what I recalled.
Yeah, a lot of the Pele autographs were like sold again. Like, or here's the ball for $850. There was somebody that had all these old style balls made and had him. Then he signed them, and
but it's
not like period.
It's like a made vintage soccer ball.
Correct. Yeah.
Signed recently. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool looking, but yeah.
Yeah, there was
not a lot of noteworthy stuff.
Some of those Pele's that are signed like $500.
Yeah,
I mean, it feels like these just keep churning.
Totally. So I don't know if somebody's just selling and then reselling, or if somebody just has a billion copies of these.
Yeah, if they're just leaking out slowly over time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, because like this autograph, like look at that. Like it's just
and they're calling it the Pele collection, which so that one's.
Did you buy this one?
Yeah, I did. It's my favorite card with my favorite SIG. I mean, that's just what and they gave that auto a 10. So I almost would get this to say this is the stuff I hate.
Yeah,
just to get it. Somebody paid $600 for that. Okay, good for them.
I love that card because it's just so ridiculous. So the Pele signed Garrincha card.
Yeah. And that one went for $1,200.
Yeah.
My ass.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
I mean, like, wouldn't you rather have like this? Like, I understand the autograph is just.
Yeah, but I'd still way rather have that.
Yeah.
A rookie of his signed than a random 62 Garrincha.
Yeah.
I mean, the SIGs suck on both of them, so.
Yeah, I guess that's that.
Yeah, it wasn't, I feel like, I mean, just again to wrap things up for the market, I feel like uh PWCC Fanatics is now kind of the clear leader, with the exception of a few super high end that are going to Golden.
Yep, I feel like, yeah. I mean, I feel like vintage is definitely Fanatics. Like, I mean, it's not even like close when you look at like just the percentage of items that are being sold. And I'm not talking necessarily quality. I'm just talking about volume. And
Yeah, and I think eBay, if you mine it and you have a lot of time, great, but it's going to be hit or miss and
yeah,
pretty random, right? Like
yeah,
it always has been to a certain extent. And then I still hear and see a number of people on the regional sites finding stuff, occasionally, like the mining does pay off if you put in the work, whether it's the camp in France, or Toto or Tradera, or working networks in Mercado Libre and South America. I feel like that stuff still pays off. It's just you gotta have time to grind.
yeah. Agreed. Um, and I guess just the last quick scroll, there was a couple bests that sold. One went for 3,200 pounds.
And that looked good, but holy shit! Like, wouldn't you rather have the 5 for $1,800?
Well, what about
Already
this one?
already graded by PSA.
This one went for 4,800 pounds. And this has soft corners and like this one doesn't compute. Like my brain does not.
I feel like that's not a good print, but it must be, because here you take that, turn it into dollars, and all
And
the buyer's premium, which they have all these other taxes.
So it's like 1.6 basically. So you're at $7,700 for that.
And you can get a PSA 5 PSA graded for 1,800.
Yeah, and this isn't gonna grade a 5.
It's gonna probably a 3.
Yeah. So like this one just doesn't, like my brain does not accept that this happened.
Right? Yeah. And that's why I do wonder if some of that stuff is actually happening.
Yeah. And I really don't know. In this thing, there was like this over 6,500 pounds, but I'm not going to go through it all because I couldn't pick out what I think sold. I think it might be the let me pull that up real quick because I wanted to is it this?
I don't think so. I mean, that's rare, but it's not that rare.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some non-soccer thing.
Yeah, there's got to be some non-sports gems in there. Like massive chase cards.
But so
I'm not willing to call the market in the doldrums. I'm just trying to say it's a little bit of a pause. There's some definite pockets of strength, and people are throwing down $80,000 for CR7 on Buy It Now. Whoa,
that's exciting.
That is exciting, and that's a fact that wasn't even in there. And I'm more focused on the fact that the Pele went for $100,000 in not the best shape, and I'm pretty excited just about where we're going, and I'm super excited that we're 45 days away from the National.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'm excited. So for any of you guys making it to Chicago or living in Chicago, please make it out to the SoCo. So we're gonna be there every night. It's open. I did not go the last night last year, so I'm excited to do the whole weekend. And that's an exciting time. I'm gonna pull some stuff out of my last safe deposit box to bring. So the one that I still access. And
nice. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so looking forward to it. And I guess we'll see you guys next month, or premium members, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.